Hi there, I'm Stephanie, and this is Headlines and Tidbits, the podcast that dusts off forgotten, bizarre, and downright unbelievable stories from old newspapers. Each episode has two parts. First, I share a headline that caught my eye, something strange, unsettling, or just too odd to ignore, and uncover the story behind it, who it involved, what happened, and why it still matters. Then comes the tidbits, the little gems that never made the history books, scandalous divorce notices, odd ads, and quirky local stories that reveal the world we came from. So settle in, we're about to journey through the pages of the past, one headline at a time. Today's headline reads, Hauntings at the Hotel Jerome from the Aspen Times, dated October 30th, 2003. And it is a simple headline, but it definitely grabbed my attention. So let's dive into a little bit of history about the Hotel Jerome in Aspen, Colorado. The hotel first opened in 1899 during Aspen's silver boom, and it was named after Jerome Bryan Wheeler, who built the hotel and was a prominent figure in the silver industry. He was born September 3rd, 1842 in Troy, New York. His parents were Daniel Wheeler and Mary Emerson, and his mother was actually cousins with Ralph Waldo Emerson. And Jerome went to public school until he was 15, and then he worked as a clerk, but he also pursued trades like engineering and machine shop work. He was a busy 15-year-old. And on his 20th birthday, he enlisted as a private in the 6th Regiment New York Volunteer Cavalry. And this actually was right around the same time that the Civil War began. And so he served on the Union side, and he fought throughout the Shenandoah Valley, and he ended up making the rank of colonel. But unfortunately, he had that rank revoked when he went against orders and brought supplies to starving Army soldiers. And because of this, he was discharged from the Army in September of 1865. So he went back home and he met a Harriet Macy Valentine, and the two were married in 1870, and they had a daughter named Marion. And once he left the Army, like I said, he went back to New York and worked as an accountant. And he actually had numerous jobs in the state of New York before moving to Colorado in 1883. So he decided to move to Colorado because he went there kind of as a vacation and fell in love with the mountains. And once he was established in Colorado, he started investing in the mining industry. He actually ended up building a tramway that would bring down ore from the mountain to where it was to be processed in a smelter. Now, Jerome ended up dying in Colorado in 1918, but he's buried in New York. Now, the Hotel Jerome, it was considered Aspen's original luxury hotel. The Hotel Jerome was built in 1889, and the hotel is a 3-story brick building. It's on the corner of East Main Street in downtown Aspen, and the inside of the hotel has a lot of the original finishes still. The lobby is completely restored. It has black and gold pillars, a fireplace, and dark walls that make the hotel feel cozy and quiet. The first floor has, meeting rooms, a restaurant, swimming pool, grand ballroom, and the famous J Bar. The upper floors consist of 94 guest rooms. Now, Wheeler didn't own the hotel for very long. He actually sold it a year before the silver boom collapse. And in 1892, he sold it to a Denver businessman, Archie Fisk, for $125,000, which is about $4.1 million today. But Fisk, he couldn't pay the taxes in 1893, so Wheeler actually bought it back. But Wheeler, he fell on hard times again, and he went bankrupt, so he sold the hotel in 1911 to a local businessman, Mansur Elisha. And Manor actually worked at the hotel at one point as a bartender. And Mansur owned the hotel until his death in 1935, and then his son Lawrence took over the hotel. So let's talk about some of the creepy, haunty stories that are tied to the hotel. After all, it is supposed to be one of the most haunted hotels in Aspen. So during the Spanish flu epidemic, the hotel's lobby was actually used as a morgue. Now, there are rumors that Mansur's daughter died of the Spanish flu, and I can't help but wonder if she died in the hotel. And even though I can't find any haunting stories tied to the fact that it was a morgue, I feel like there has to be something there. I mean, it was a morgue. I'm sure I can't even imagine, especially with the Spanish flu, there was probably so many bodies brought to the hotel. Now, one of the most common, paranormal sightings at the hotel is that of a little boy, and he's sometimes referred to as the water boy. Now, most people report seeing a little boy standing in the hall, and as they get closer to the boy, he just disappears. However, he leaves behind a small pool of water or wet footprints, and many people report that the boy is in a towel and is wet and shivering. This paranormal ghost is believed to be a little boy who stayed at the hotel with his family in 1936. He was 10 years old, and he tragically drowned at the hotel's pool. And the family, they were staying in room 310, which ironically looks over the pool. And his presence has freaked out some of the staff so badly that they refuse to work there and have quit their job over this. Now, while some are terrified of the little boy, others have described him as a friendly but mischievous boy who sometimes will follow the security guards around. In 1997, the general manager of the hotel told the Aspen Daily News that one night he got a call from one of the guests. And this guest was reporting that there was a little boy running around in the hall. And when the manager went up to the hallway, he couldn't find anybody, but he did see the wet footprints. And I tried finding the little boy's name by looking in newspaper databases, but I had no luck. So another common haunting at the Hotel Jerome is that of Henry O'Callister. And Henry made a lot of money in the mining industry. In 1889, Henry decided that he would move into the Hotel Jerome. While he was there, he met and fell in love with an heiress from Boston, and her name was Clarissa Wellington. Clarissa was staying at the Hotel Jerome with her father, who was a wealthy businessman. And Clarissa, she fell in love with him also, and the two wanted to marry and spend their lives together. But her father did not approve of this. He refused to give his permission. So Clarissa returned to Boston with her father, and Henry stayed in Aspen and ended up passing away at the hotel. It was said that he became pretty depressed after Clarissa left and spent his fortune on booze until he died of a broken heart. So guests and employees report hearing a man sobbing at night, and he has been seen wandering the halls. And now another story revolves around a young girl named Katie Kerrigan. At the age of 16, she worked as a maid at the hotel, and this was in 1892, and she was described as being really beautiful. She caught the attention of a lot of the guests, a lot of the wealthy guests, which made her coworkers jealous. So this led the other maids to play pranks on her. For example, one night, another maid deceived Katie by telling her that her little kitten that she loved fell through the ice of a nearby pond. Of course, Katie, she loves her cat, so she rushed to the pond to see if she could rescue her cat, only to find herself submerged in the icy waters and no kitten around. And although she was eventually saved, the incident, it really made her sick, and she ended up getting pneumonia and passing away. So the hotel staff have reported experiencing her presence. Maids report that they will go into a room to make the bed, but the bed has already been made. And they know that no other workers have gone in there. So another odd thing that has happened is the maids will go in and get a room ready for a guest that's coming. But when the guest checks in and goes to their room, the room is a mess. And so Katie has also been known to leave soapy water in the sink. Sometimes she'll turn up the heat all the way in the room, which of course, I guess that kind of makes sense. She died because she went into the frozen pond. So there's a local tour guide, Dean Weiler in Aspen, who does historical walking tours. And in 2012, he interviewed with the Aspen Times, and he claimed that when he goes to the Hotel Jerome, he hears all sorts of creepy stories from people. But he doesn't always feel comfortable sharing them until he can research them and see if there is some truth to the story, which I respect that. One story he was looking into was that of a woman who was either murdered or hung herself in the library section at the hotel. And apparently it was her wedding night, which that's crazy. And one of the bartenders said that every once in a while, he will see a woman walking through the library towards a storage closet. But when he goes to investigate, no one is there. And a security guard said that he would see a woman looking into one of the hotel's security cameras. And this always happens at night. But of course, when he goes to investigate, no one is there. That one gives me the chills. That's pretty creepy. I can't imagine looking at this screen and seeing some woman's face pop up. Ugh. Dean feels like there could be a lot of paranormal stuff going on in the hotel, but most of the activity, he says, seems fairly harmless. However, he did talk to one employee at the hotel who felt like there was an evil spirit in the building. But that is our headline and the story of the Hotel Jerome. So now we'll dive into the tidbits portion of the episode. And our first tidbit is from the Cincinnati Enquirer and is dated November 20th, 1897. And it's actually, I guess you could say, an ad. It's basically like an RV. That's how I would explain it, I guess. And I'll post this up on social media. But the caption reads, "A curious motor caravan is attracting considerable attention in its experimental runs through the suburbs of Paris. The coach is 25 1/4 feet long. The hauling mechanism consists of a steam tractor of 30 horsepower of the now well-known De Dion and Bouton type. The tractor has 4 wheels, the caravan only 2. The front portion of the vehicle resting on the rear of the tractor. The caravan comprises 2 sleeping chambers containing 4 folding beds, a dressing room, bath, kitchen, a water tank, and a pantry. The kitchen is situated at the rear and occupies the whole width of the van by 5 feet in length. It is provided with 2 folding beds for the servants." Oh, geez. "The main entrance to the caravan is situated in the center of one of the sides. The 2 chambers, which may be converted into a dining or sitting room respectively, each measure 5 feet 10 inches by 6 feet 5 inches. The 2 rows are provided at the front of the top of the van, access to which is by means of a ladder at the rear." It's like the first RV. It's actually pretty cool. Like I said, I'll post it up on social media. So our last tidbit is an interesting one. It comes from the Manning Times out of South Carolina and is dated June 14th, 1922. And the headline reads, "Spraying with kerosene, remedy against lawn ants." And it reads, "To get rid of lawn ants, entomologists of the United States Department of Agriculture suggest drenching the pests with boiling water or pouring in a small quantity of kerosene oil. Similar treatment may be applied to nests between or beneath paving stones. Spraying the lawn with kerosene emulsion or with very strong soap wash is also recommended. For large ant nests, the fumes of disulfide of carbon have a very disagreeable odor and are inflammable, but they are not injurious to higher animals in the open air." I don't recommend doing this. It's crazy. Well, I hope you enjoyed exploring these headlines and tidbits with me, and I hope you come back to listen to stories from newspapers of the past. See you next time.